Peter Pan and Wendy. Peter Pan and Wendy is an upcoming American fantasy adventure film directed by David Lowery, who wrote the screenplay with Toby Halbrooks. Jim Whittaker served as producer on the Walt Disney Pictures production, which is a live-action adaptation of Walt Disney's 1953 animated film Peter Pan, in turn based on the 1904 play Peter Pan, or The Boy Who Wouldn't Grow Up by J.M. Barrie. The film stars Alexander Milani and Ever Anderson in the title roles. Jude Law, Yara Shahidi, Alyssa Wapanatahk, Joshua Pickering, Jacoby Jupe, Molly Parker, Alan Tudyk, and Jim Gaffigan also appear in supporting roles. Development on a live-action Peter Pan film began on April 13, 2016, with Lowery directing. Lowery was announced as writing the film with Halbrooks, while the production team expanded the next 4 years due to work in the remake script. The film's title was announced on January 7, 2020. Peter Pan and Wendy is set to premiere on Disney Plus on April 28, 2023. Premise: Wendy Darling, a young girl afraid to leave her childhood home behind, meets Peter Pan, a boy who refuses to grow up. Alongside her brothers and a tiny fairy, Tinker Bell, she travels with Peter to the magical world of Neverland. There, Wendy encounters an evil pirate captain, Captain Hook, and embarks on a thrilling and dangerous adventure that will change her life forever. Cast: Alexander Milani as Peter Pan, a young boy who lives in Neverland and refuses to grow up. Ever Anderson as Wendy Darling, an adventurous and virtuous girl from London who travels with her little brothers John and Michael and Peter to Neverland. Jude Law as Captain Hook, a pirate and Peter's archenemy who developed a vendetta towards Peter for cutting off his right hand and feeding it to a crocodile who has since developed a taste for his flesh, replacing his hand with a hook. In contrast to the original play, by Barrie, 1904's Peter Pan, or The Boy Who Wouldn't Grow Up, and later Peter Pan adaptations, which have Hook share the same actor as George Darling, the role will be performed by a separate actor instead of Alan Tudyk. Yara Shahidi as Tinker Bell, a hyperactive fairy and Peter's best friend who is jealous of Wendy. Joshua Pickering as John Darling, Wendy's little brother and Michael's older brother who travels with them and Peter to Neverland. Jacoby Jupe as Michael Darling, Wendy and John's little brother who travels with them and Peter to Neverland. Alyssa Wapanatahk as Tiger Lily, a warrior princess of Neverland's indigenous tribe and the daughter of the chief who is Peter's friend. Wendy is slightly jealous of her, believing that she has a crush on Peter. Jim Gaffigan is Mr. Smee, Captain Hook's loyal first mate who does not always offer much help. Molly Parker is Mary Darling, Wendy, John, and Michael's mother from London. Alan Tudyk is George Darling, Wendy, John, and Michael's father from London who works as a bank accountant. In contrast to the original film and most Peter Pan adaptations, which have George share the same actor as Captain Hook, the role will be performed by a separate actor instead of Jude Law. Noah Matthews Matovsky as Slightly, a lost boy. Sebastian Billingsley Rodriguez as Nibs, a lost boy. Skylar and Kelsey Yates as Tootie and Rudy, twin lost girls. Florence Bensberg as Curly, a lost girl. Kaylin Eady as Toodles, a lost boy. Diana Tsoy as Birdie, a new lost girl. Felix de Souza as Bellwether, a new lost boy. Production, development and pre-production. In April 2016, it was announced that Walt Disney Pictures was developing a live-action adaptation of the 1953 animated film, Peter Pan. David Lowery signed on as director, with a script he co-wrote with Toby Halbrooks. The pair previously worked together on the 2016 remake of Disney's Pete's Dragon. Jim Whittaker will serve as producer on the project. In February 2018, Whittaker stated that the script was entering early stages of development. He further explained that the film will be grounded in realism, though it will also be a big, rollicking adventure, too. By October of the same year, the fourth draft of the script had been completed with a fifth draft underway. Lowery stated that, the number one priority is getting the script right. The filmmaker elaborated that the project is personal to him, as he is a fan to the original, acknowledging that he had been agonizing over every little detail. He confirmed that the modern-day adaptation would have to change elements to avoid the racial stereotypes present in the original film. In December 2019, Lowery stated that he and Halbrooks had written an additional draft and a half at that point, adding that it would have to have a few more drafts to go before it is ready to be filmed. He described working on the film as challenging, due to both his personal love for the original film and its popularity among fans. He also feels that he had to justify the film's existence due to other live-action Peter Pan films having been developed, while also doing justice to the source material. The filmmaker stated that the outlook that he and the studio has is, if it has to be done right. Comparing his work on Peter Pan to Pete's Dragon, the filmmaker stated that the latter was less stress seeing as the original had been an under-the-radar Disney title, with little following, which allowed him more creative freedom. By 2020, the film was officially titled Peter Pan and Wendy. Joe Roth joined the film's production team as an additional producer. Casting: Alexander Milani and Ever Anderson were reported to have been cast as Peter Pan and Wendy Darling, respectively, in March 2020. By July of the same year, Jude Law had entered early negotiations to play Captain James Hook. Law would be confirmed in September, with Yara Shahidi cast to play Tinker Bell. In October 2020, Alyssa Wapanatahk was confirmed to play Tiger Lily. In January 2021, Jim Gaffigan joined the cast as Mr. Smee. On March 16, 2021, Alan Tudyk, Molly Parker, Joshua Pickering, and Jacoby Jupe were announced to play Mr. Darling, Mrs. Darling, John Darling, and Michael Darling, respectively, as principal photography officially began. Filming. Production for Peter Pan and Wendy took place in Vancouver, British Columbia. It was originally set to begin on April 17, 2020, and wrap in August 2020, but filming was delayed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Filming began on March 16, 2021. Additional filming took place on the Bonavista Peninsula of Newfoundland and Labrador, in August 2021. Reshoots took place in Vancouver, from February 2 to 8, 2022. Visual effects. The visual effects will be handled by Framestore and DNEG. Release. The film was originally set to be released on Disney's streaming service, Disney Plus, but was later scheduled to be released theatrically. Until in December 2020, the film was officially announced to be released as a Disney Plus exclusive again due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The film is scheduled to be released on Disney Plus on April 28, 2023.